So I've decided to do my project on one of my most favorite shows, the television show Survivor, and tie that into the social cognitive theory, which was developed by Canadian psychologist Albert Bandura. So, Survivor was premiered in the year 2000, May of 2000, and has since been on air on the CBS network for 17 years or 35 seasons. And what Survivor does is it takes a group of 16 to 20 castaways that are strangers to each other and puts them on a remote island. Past locations have included Fiji and Borneo, and it has them live on that island for 39 days trying to survive, hence the name of the show Survivor. And by survive, I mean build shelter, get their own food. It gives them a bag of rice and a pot to boil water in, but that's pretty much all that they get, as well as a machete. That's pretty much all that they get. And then it's their job to survive. Of course, there are medics, but it's part of the game, is surviving. So, in Survivor, there are two forms of competitions, and every 3 to 4 days they'll have another competition. Again, there are two forms, the first being a reward challenge and the second being an immunity challenge. And in my personal belief, immunity challenges are a little bit more important than reward challenges because reward challenges are just to win luxurious items such as getaway to a spa for half a day, or even something as simple as fishing gear so they can get something other than the rice that they were given with to begin, so they can have another form of nourishment. But immunity challenges are really important because at the end of every show, so I believe once a week in Survivor time, they have this thing called an immunity challenge, which is where they vie to become immune from this thing, which is known as tribal council. And it's really important to form alliances in Survivor because you could be the next one going out. Immunity challenges are where you vote out a member of your tribe, and God forbid if that person be you, then your luck at winning $1 million is gone. Your shot at winning $1 million just ended. So it's really important to have alliances in the game of Survivor. Also, it's important for them to be nice to one another, or not nice, but just cordial and civil, because at the end, when it gets down to 9 people, when the 16 to 20 castaways that it began with narrows down to 9, then those people are going to vote who they want to win the $1 million cash prize. So, it's really important that you have form alliances with these people and have a lot of people on your side because ultimately they're going to decide your fate and decide who wins the $1 million cash prize. So, you might be asking yourself now, how can that possibly tie into the social cognitive theory? Well, let's start with what is the social cognitive theory. So the social cognitive theory was developed by Canadian psychologist Albert Bandura, and it states that there are 3 forms in which people learn from one another, or learn from about anything. 1 is from individual experiences, 2 is from the actions of others, and the third way is with interactions with their own environment. So, as you probably know, in late August actually, Houston endured one of its worst hurricanes, Hurricane Harvey, which took on my house. My house ended up having 4 feet of water in it, and for the past 3 years, probably spent more time out of my house than actually in it, because we were flooded in May of 2015, 15, in the Memorial Day flood, then again in Tax Day of 2016, and then 2017, Hurricane Harvey. But my mom and I, we decided that we have stayed in our house long enough. We've watched 2 other floods we have watched our house take on water by 2 other floods, and there was absolutely no reason for us to do it a 3rd time. So our neighbors were gracious enough to let us in. They had never flooded before. They had a 2-story house right next to mine. So we went, my mom and I. But the next day, we never expected for that house to flood because it never had before. But Hurricane Harvey was a different kind of hurricane. Or flood, I should say, a different kind of flood. Because houses in my neighborhood that had never flooded before flooded for Harvey. And this was one of them. The house that we were staying at was one of them. And we did not take up any sort of provisions the next day. And it was kind of a little bit too late because we ended up flooding in early morning, around 3 a.m. We had absolutely no water and no food. But I thought to myself, using the social cognitive theory, learning from another individual's experiences, that if these castaways on Survivor can survive without food, or not a lot of food, we didn't have that much food. I mean, luckily, the woman of the house who owned the house was able to go down and gather some kinds of food, and it wasn't the best thing, but it was better than nothing. We had no water, no food, but we were going to survive. And what Survivor taught me was that if these 16 to 20 people can do it, I can definitely do it for a couple of hours or even a day or two, because I had water from the sink. I may not have had the best food, but I had some food. And if these castaways could do it, I could also do it. I can also tie in the spiral of silence theory, because I wasn't going to tell anyone that I was using these castaways in Survivor to gain as a role model for this time. In my head I was, but I wasn't going to say that out loud because I was afraid of what other people would think of me, because that wasn't the normal thing to see these castaways and use that experiences to help your own. But that's what I did. And with the help of Survivor, I was able to make it through it. So thank you very much for letting me share my story and my project, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.